Right now, on To the Point.
An update to the controversial high-speed rail project, how much more money is needed, and what critics are saying in response.
Governor Newsom's redistricting plan is moving forward, but not without a fight from Republicans.
Well, the problem when you fight fire with fire is you burn it all down.
California voters weigh in on the redistricting special election. A look at the new numbers and how the issue is impacting Governor Newsom's approval rating.
Many Americans continue to feel down about the economy.
Bracing for a tough economy. How families can set themselves up for financial success during uncertain times. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on To the Point. I'm Becca Habiger. California lawmakers are doubling down on ensuring the controversial high-speed rail project continues, and that's despite ongoing funding issues and delays. In a new update, the state is detailing how much money is needed to finish the project and when people can expect to see it finally running. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen has followed high-speed rail's development for more than a year, and she's here now with the latest.
Becca, it will cost more than $90 billion to build the high-speed rail from San Francisco to Palmdale, and authority officials tell me today they are confident the state will meet that goal. But critics say the state would be better off spending that money in much more needed areas.
High-speed rail is California's opportunity to lead the nation in clean, fast, and safe public transit.
As chair of the Senate Transportation Committee, Senator Dave Cortese has led the cause in support for California's high-speed rail. In 2008, voters approved $45 billion for the entire project from San Francisco to Los Angeles. It was supposed to be finished in 2020, but 5 years after the deadline, it's still under construction with an estimated price tag of more than $90 billion. In response, the authority's CEO, Ian Chowdhury, says progress has been made.
This program has been challenged in many ways, but here we have made already real progress, and so we are about to finish 119 mile that is under construction now.
That 119-mile section is the Bakersfield to Merced corridor, with an estimated price tag of just over $36 billion. It's expected to be up and running in 2032, and the authority acknowledges ridership would be low for that section.
We start somewhere, we start operating, and then we build more until it connects the population centers.
The goal is to start operating other portions by early 2038 with long-term state funding. Governor Gavin Newsom has proposed $1 billion a year from the Cap and Invest program through 2045, which is what the authority's hoping the legislature will approve. The Trump administration has already pulled $4 billion from the project. In response, Republican Senator Tony Strickland says this project needs to go back to the voters.
We need to pull the plug on the high-speed rail. At the very least, let's send it back to the voters and let them decide if they want to spend billions, over $100 billion on high-speed rail.
As the vice chair of the Senate Transportation Committee, Senator Strickland says the money could be better spent tackling other pressing issues in the state, like crime.
I think the most essential role of government is public safety. We would be better spent to spend this money on fully funding Prop 36 and keep us safe across the state of California.
Ultimately, the High-Speed Rail Authority is confident it'll get the funding from the legislature. And when it comes to private investors, the authority CEO says there are ongoing conversations and that these private investors are waiting to see what resources the state is providing before making any decisions. Becca.
Jeannie, thank you. In the redistricting battle, a new effort is underway to stop November's special election. Today, California Republican leaders announced they're filing an emergency petition with the state Supreme Court. They're asking the court to remove from November's ballot the proposed constitutional amendment that, if approved by voters, would lead to new congressional district maps favoring Democrats. In other words, Republicans want to call off the November 4th election. Their petition argues state Democratic leaders violated multiple provisions of the California Constitution. It says they bypassed the constitutionally required 30-day public review period before acting on newly introduced legislation. Republicans also argue this partisan redistricting plan strips voters of their right to independent redistricting. You may recall voters approved with a 2008 constitutional amendment an establishing of an independent redistricting commission.
They are discarding years of work by the Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission and replacing it with a raw, partisan power play at the demand of Governor Newsom. Gerrymandering by politicians is never okay, whether in California, Texas, or anywhere else.
Meanwhile, President Donald Trump is also threatening legal action to stop Governor Gavin Newsom's redistricting efforts.
I think I'm going to be filing a lawsuit pretty soon, and I think we're going to be very successful in it. We're going to be filing it through the Department of Justice. That's going to happen.
Democratic lawmakers had this to say last week.
This change is a change that we are asking the voters if this one-time mid-census redistricting can be approved by them as a response to the authoritarian power grab that's happening in Texas. They will get the final say.
One law professor tells us the state Republicans may have an uphill battle.
The proposed new map doesn't actually take effect unless and until the voters approve a constitutional change. That is, it's just a piece of paper and designed to be just a piece of paper unless the voters approve a constitutional change. It's a thing that has a future trigger, but it doesn't have any legal impact right now.
That law professor says Trump may have similar issues challenging California after a 2019 U.S. Supreme Court ruling.
The Supreme Court said federal courts are going to be out of the business of policing partisan gerrymandering. The federal courts have retreated from this zone. Congress didn't act when it could, and now states are in a brawl that's messy for everyone.
The November 4th special election is moving forward at this point, and a new poll shows more California voters than not are in support of a redistricting ballot measure known as Proposition 50. A new Berkeley IGS poll shows 46% of California voters say a redistricting vote is a good idea, compared to 36% who say it's a bad idea. When asked how they would vote in a special election, 48% say they would vote yes, 32% would vote no, and a full 20% are still undecided. The poll also finds more Californians now approve of Governor Gavin Newsom's performance by a 51% to 43% margin, and this is an improvement for the governor over his evenly divided disapproval rating he received in April. Well, California and the Trump administration reached a settlement today over education funding. Last month, California Attorney General Rob Bonta, along with 24 other states, sued the Trump administration. They said the U.S. Department of Education froze federal funding weeks before the start of the school year, calling it unconstitutional and unlawful. California stood to lose more than $900 million that funded programs including after-school and summer learning, teacher preparation, and support for students learning English. The Trump administration did end up releasing some of the funds they initially withheld. Today, all parties moved to dismiss the case after reaching a settlement. The settlement says the Trump administration must release all remaining funds that are withheld by October 3rd. Well, hundreds of lightning strikes spark fires in the Tahoe National Forest, what crews are up against, and the response from Governor Newsom. President Trump takes aim at Chicago, calling it a disaster as the Illinois governor fights back. The showdown over National Guard troops.
And the reason for all that lightning? The Sierra showers and thunderstorms. We've had a lot of storms today. We'll have a lot more tomorrow as well. We'll look at Futurecast after the break.
But first, in other headlines tonight, after nearly 7 months, a Stockton family now has some justice. One of the 3 suspects arrested in connection to the shooting death of 17-year-old Julian Martinez was found guilty of murder this afternoon. In his ruling, the judge said 3 suspects robbed Martinez of his motorbike and fired 1 shot, killing him at the skate park. All 3 suspects are minors. CAL FIRE employee Darren McFarland was arraigned today. He's accused in the death of a woman and a boy in El Dorado County. He was arrested last week in Mono County. He faces 2 charges of homicide. A report of an active shooter at the University of Arkansas today was part of a swatting hoax. University police say they received more than 300 landline and 911 calls that covered 7 different buildings on campus. All reported either a suspect or shots fired. Fayetteville police say there were no confirmed gunshots or injuries on campus. Authorities are now trying to figure out where the phone calls came from.
Fire crews in the Tahoe National Forest were busy responding to lightning fires after thunderstorm activity. There have been 8 lightning-caused fires since yesterday, all of them no bigger than 2 acres. But luckily, not all strikes cause fires. The U.S. Forest Service says altogether there have been 344 recorded lightning strikes on the Tahoe National Forest over the past 48 hours. And because of the risk of dry lightning, low humidity, and expected high temperatures, Governor Newsom today approved the pre-deployment of firefighting resources to Trinity County. He did the same over the weekend in Placer and Calaveras counties, sending 8 additional fire engines and 3 water tenders. And last week, the governor pre-deployed firefighting resources to Southern California due to critical fire weather. And now we go to ABC 10 meteorologist Brendan Minchef tracking some of that dry fire weather for us. Brendan?
Yeah, we have had some dry lightning, but for the most part, at least here in Northern California, we've also had some pretty decent thunderstorms. Over the last 6 hours, here's what radar and satellite has looked like. Of course, nothing here in the valley, but you see all the lightning that we had across the high country through the afternoon. But notice how much green, yellow, and red colors there are. That's rain, and that's enough rain to actually get things wet. So even when we've had lightning, it's for the most part come along with some rainfall as well, and that does mitigate that fire risk somewhat. I'm watching these lines here. They don't look like much on radar. These are outflow boundaries from the decaying thunderstorms in the high country. These can fire off new thunderstorms as they work their way into the foothills and the valley. This is what happened about a month and a half ago in the northern valley up near Sutter County, where we saw some unexpected thunderstorms around 7, 8 o'clock in the evening. That's when we had those outflow boundaries roll through. So it's something we'll be tracking for the next few hours. I'm not saying it definitely will rain or definitely we'll see more thunderstorms, but with those outflow boundaries, there is a potential that we could see some rain at some lower elevations. Made it to 96 today in Sacramento, 95 Placerville, 72 in Truckee, 76 in South Lake Tahoe, a little warmer than normal. Right now we are closer to seasonal, 91 Sacramento, 93 in Stockton, 96 Modesto, 87 up in Nevada City, 50s and 60s in the high country. Mild start on Tuesday morning, low to mid 60s across much of the valley, mostly clear skies, and a sunny afternoon tomorrow, very seasonal across the valley, 92 in Sacramento, 93 Stockton, 97 Modesto, 70s in the high country, but another day with some showers and thunderstorms. So as we look at the early afternoon into the late afternoon, you see once again showers and thunderstorms firing up across the high country. So we will have a weather impact alert continuing Tuesday for the Sierra due to the thunderstorms producing the potential for new fires and some flash flooding as well. Something to be mindful of if you're headed to the high country tomorrow. Here in the valley through midweek, temperatures near seasonal in the low 90s. Then it does get warmer as we head into the holiday weekend. Some mid to upper 90s, Becca.
Brenda, thanks so much. Well, FEMA employees sound the alarm, warning recent changes could weaken disaster response and repeat failures seen after Hurricane Katrina. And as prices rise, many Americans struggle to save. Coming up, how even small steps toward an emergency fund can make a big difference. The president deployed the National Guard to Washington, D.C. and says he might do the same in places like Chicago, Baltimore, and New York. Rena Roy has the latest.
President Trump and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker going head-to-head as the president considers deploying National Guard troops to Chicago.
Chicago, Illinois is a disaster. I have property there. It's a disaster what's going on in Chicago.
Trump suggesting there's a crime emergency in the city, but local leaders say homicides, shootings, and robberies are all down since last year.
There is no cause for this. There is no emergency. There is no law in the books that allows him to put federalized troops on the streets of the city of Chicago.
In a post on X, Governor Pritzker walking along the city's lakefront this morning, refuting Trump's claims.
We got a lot of people running, having a great time. I don't know who in Washington thinks that Chicago is some sort of hellhole, but you may need to look inward.
Trump has already sent 2,200 National Guard members to the nation's capital, where police say violent crime is actually at a 30-year low, down 26% from last year. Some of the troops now armed with service-issued pistols or M4 rifles.
President Trump also signed executive orders today aimed at ending the practice of cashless bail and prosecuting those caught burning the American flag. Now, in 1989, the Supreme Court ruled flag burning is protected by the First Amendment, calling it symbolic speech. Well, nearly 200 current and former FEMA employees sent a warning letter to Congress regarding recent changes. Today, FEMA workers accused the Trump administration of eroding the agency's response capabilities and appointing unqualified leadership. The letter, titled Katrina Declaration, warned about the possibility of failures similar to the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. In 2005, the agency's rescue efforts exposed severe flaws in the federal emergency response system. The letter argues reforms in place since the deadly storm are now being unraveled. The group is calling for FEMA to become a cabinet-level independent agency. They also want the agency to be protected from political interference. And the warning letter comes ahead of the 20-year mark since Hurricane Katrina. In June, Trump announced plans to phase out FEMA after hurricane season. Americans are bracing for potential problems with incoming international shipments after the Trump administration ended a long-standing tax exemption. This is due to possible tariff troubles for some popular products from South Korea, India, and Europe. Dozens of government and privately run international postal services are pausing shipments now that low-value packages will soon no longer be exempt from import taxes. Last month, President Trump signed an executive order doing away with an exemption which allows packages worth less than $800 to come into the U.S. duty-free. Now, mail carriers abroad are pausing some or all U.S.-bound packages.
I think it is important to underline that all our members who have even announced the actual suspension of the traffic, it is close to 20 members so far, and more may come in the next days. They all talk about temporary suspensions.
The Trump administration claims the exemption hurt U.S. manufacturers and created a loophole for low-quality products to come into the U.S. and even let narcotics slip in. The exemption is set to expire on Friday. Now, major shipping companies like UPS, FedEx, and DHL Express say their services will not be interrupted. Many American households have felt uncertain about the economy for the last several months. During tougher economic times, it is important to be prepared for any potential downturns. Ivan Rodriguez discusses how people can set themselves up for success financially, even as inflation keeps making it difficult.
Experts project prices in the U.S. will continue to rise because of tariffs. For some households, small increases over time are easier to handle, but for others with little wiggle room in their budgets, that slow burn could resemble a slow bleed.
Many Americans continue to feel down about the economy, and that's largely because of affordability concerns.
Sarah Foster with Bankrate says nearly 1 in 4 Americans report having no emergency savings, according to their latest report. Despite households facing higher prices, she says it's important to still have a savings plan.
You're really going to need to make sure that you have at least some money set aside to help you pay for any kind of income disruption.
Some keys to getting started include creating a budget you check regularly and cutting back on expenses. Also, instead of a 6-month savings goal, focus on a shorter-term objective.
Saving your first $5, then your first $10, then maybe eventually working up to saving a month's worth of expenses.
About 46% of U.S. adults have enough emergency savings to cover 3 months of expenses. More than 1 in 3 Americans needed to use their emergency savings in the past year, with a majority using it for essentials from monthly bills to emergency expenses, according to Bankrate. Foster says the 2 things that matter the most when talking about emergency funds include the habit of building wealth for yourself and taking advantage of compound interest.
Thinking about yourself as your own best advocate, that really is kind of the bottom line here.
Well, Cracker Barrel is responding to all the backlash over its redesigned logo. The restaurant chain unveiled a new minimalist logo last week that, as you can see, dropped the barrel and the old-timer many believe is supposed to be the uncle of the chain's founder. A wave of outrage followed, and the company's stock dropped more than 12% in a day. Cracker Barrel posted a response on its website today. It said the backlash shows them they could have done a better job sharing who they are and will always be. Coming up, someone's life could be changed forever tonight. The Powerball jackpot soaring to new heights. The Powerball jackpot has jumped to $750 million, the 10th largest in the game's history. No tickets matched the winning numbers in Saturday's drawing. That means what was already the biggest pot of the year will get even bigger. Tonight is the next drawing, and if there's a winner, they will have the choice between an annuitized $750 million prize or a lump sum payment estimated at about $338 million, of course, before taxes. Do you get the annuity payments or do you get the lump sum? That is the question. Well, thank you so much for watching and inviting us into your home. If you have something you think we should be looking into, please reach out to the team. You can email us at tothepoint@abc10.com. And To The Point doesn't end here. To watch stories featured on the show, you can download our free ABC 10 Plus streaming app to your TV. Have a great and safe night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.